Animation on YouTube has really boomed over the years, and a lot of YouTube's big creators are indeed animation channels. The content is extremely relatable with great personalities commentating behind them. Their characters are so simple and yet so recognizable. These types of channels are an example of true content creation at its core, but unfortunately, not everything can be the truth. The main gimmick with animation channels is sharing their personal life stories with their audiences. This is solely from the animator's perspective, nobody else's at all. People gravitate towards them because they see someone that actually has a life more interesting than theirs. The animator's personal experiences in life are an escape from reality. But who can blame the viewer? The content is entertaining as hell. My personal favorite is Jaden. Don't tell anybody though. However, not every animation channel works with this gimmick. They operate similarly, but there is one catch that separates their content from the big creators of today. The stories are not told from their perspective. Rather, their channels operate as a platform to tell the stories about the lives of others. The main demographic being young and old adults alike. Those are the people who will be able to relate the most with what the channels are talking about. The solo animation channels are a bit more lighthearted than these ones, although sometimes they can delve into some dark territories, but you know what? Most of the time, they just try to tell the stories as innocently and comedic as they can. The Storytime channels we will be talking about today involve some very serious topics that usually are experienced at older ages.
Hello, my name is Alan, and I have a confession to make. I have a secret relationship with my hot teacher,
which I will get into in a bit because this video is divided into sections. Firstly, I will talk about the tropes that these channels will have to bring everybody to a state of understanding about how they operate. Then, I will get into the appeal and why they got so much attention in the first place. Then, I will be talking about some channels that have really caught my eye in this genre of animation on YouTube. Sit back and relax, because this is going to take a while to edit, and I deserve to relax with you. In the intro of the video, I listed the main trope or gimmick being that they share the experiences of other people on their channels. But how? It's actually very simple. These channels have email addresses that allow people to send them stories about their experiences that they've had. But there are two main issues with this. Number one, very obvious, is that people can lie. Number two is that these channels tend to choose the stories that are the most entertaining to tell, no matter how ridiculous their premises may be. A great example of this would be the good old classic, I got pregnant in elementary school. Not only is it not possible, because female gonads have not developed in elementary school, but the girl in the story was in 6th grade when the title of the story occurs. So we know that the people who send in the stories can lie, but the people who run these channels can lie as well to pull in more views. Clickbait has been a staple for these guys. They have made really suggestive titles and thumbnails, doesn't matter how ridiculous they may be. That is their selling point. Here is a list of cliché stories that they can tell. One that you should be familiar with is unintentional pregnancies. You have rags to riches stories that always seem to end up with the person being one of the richest people in the world, which I am surprised Forbes didn't pick up on. Strange. You have that guy who, that guy who gets treated like absolute crap by everyone but ultimately becomes worse than his transgressors because he inflicts more pain on them than they ever made him experience. Oh, this is too good. You have the cliched nerd that is surprisingly the smartest dude ever. Oh wow, didn't see that one coming. Then, straight out of an anime, you have the harem of absolute nutters fawning over protagonist Kun. Every time they say that all the girls are absolutely good looking but ugly on the inside, but I am skeptical because they hardly ever seem to look as how they appeared on the thumbnail of the video. These channels seem to have drawn a lot of inspiration from anime, not gonna lie. So much so that they have stories involving or suggesting incest. It can be the non-blood related kind between step-family members, or straight from the sweet, sweet good old home of Alabama. See, it doesn't matter how ridiculous they make their stories. Now, that doesn't mean that they're all fake. Some of them seem to be a little bit extreme, but there are some that I could find slightly believable. For example, the ones where people speak about their bodily conditions and such. But those ones aren't going to be pulling in the views, but I will touch on that in a bit. Right, so I really don't want to diminish the ones that could actually be true, because that would be disrespectful to the people actually sharing their stories. But seriously, I got my stepmom pregnant. You see, this one is about a boy whose dad is a corrupt politician who marries this Vogue model and treats her like an object. Then, one day, when the boy decided to cheer his mom up, she proceeded to get on top of him and asked him to show her how a real man would... It's very messy. I'm not gonna lie. Now, you may be thinking, if this channel is getting stories every day from millions of people, it must take forever for them to animate. Well, no, actually. These guys are big believers in Jake Paul's mantra. It's every day, bro. They can upload every single day, and it does have its effects. The animation is almost, most of the time, a bit choppy, and sometimes the characters only seem to be able to face forward or to the side whilst their arms move robotically. This isn't the case for all of them, just a lot of them. The regular solo animation channels run by a single personality will usually have teams that work months at a time to get a video out for their creators, which is why their quality is very high. But alas, the advantage that these guys have is their consistency. Now, onto their appeal. The whole reason why these animations became so notorious was for their over-the-top plots, completely immoral lessons at the end of them, and, well, incest. They pulled in views in the millions, some channels even having millions of subscribers because of how they knew what would drag in their audience. There are also other parties to blame for this, people just like me, YouTubers. These guys are partly to blame for reacting to these stories and picking them apart for their sheer absurdity, making fun of the animation, the way the characters speak, just the story in general. It's actually pretty entertaining watching them give their perspectives and pointing out how fake these stories are. Seeing how fake they are shouldn't be too hard, and that is the biggest downfall of all of these channels. Some of the topics that they get into seem very newsworthy. They can talk about huge financial successes and losses, politics, or just a flippin' case, to be honest. These can easily be verified with just a quick little use of our good old friend, Dr. G. Despite being very easy to prove or disprove, the stories are actually enjoyed by many. There's always engagement in the comments, whether it be good or bad. Just the number of people in there are good enough for these channels to grow. They just gotta keep doing what they're doing because they know that if they release something crazy enough, it will pull in the views. Some channels even have stories spanning over multiple episodes, one of them having 3 seasons already. That's also for later. Romance is an extremely easy thing to appeal to, I should know. Or incest, because you know, that's always something that's gonna bring in the weeaboo. Now, before I get into the 3 channels, technically 4, but you'll know why soon, I would like to give a real quick shout out to someone. They go by the alias Croewi. As you can see, I have leveled up, so to speak. I have an actual avatar now, and it brings me so much joy. If you saw the kind of stuff I was putting out in April last year, you would not believe what I am doing now. Well, this isn't about me though. This is about the amazing work done by Croewi. They, yes they, any pronoun is fine with them because their identity is redacted for now. They were very easy to work with, and they were able to bring my vision back to life in this spectacular way. Go follow Croewi on Instagram. If you can't find their account, go to my YouTube bio. Go to my bio on Insta. Heck, go to my Amino, because they're getting upgraded to a Hall of Famer. Sorry for simping so hard just now, but you know what? It's fully deserved. Go follow Croewi as much as you can. They are extremely talented. Oh yeah, by the way, now that I have an avatar, I'd just like to humbly request, if somehow I do become popular, please do not troll Rule 34 of me. I'm only 16, turning 17 in April. Yeah, Let's explain how I chose these channels. This was based on my experience with them. It has nothing to do with their popularity, so don't get butthurt because I didn't speak about Storytime Animated. But, to pleasure those who are willing to hear, they have a story where the main character decided to hide the fact that his girlfriend was his half-sister. There we go. ETU and Zaxol. This is why I said 4 channels. ETU and Zaxol are featuring because A, they seem to have the highest production value out of every single animation channel, solo channels not included, and B, they have the exact same art style, meaning that the same artist or artists is working on them. Now, I have to give some praise to these guys. They said straight up that they wanted to create a web series that would one day become popular, and they have done just that. In all honesty, I am giving them props for admitting that their stories are not real. ETU has obviously had a massive overhaul, something that my football club doesn't seem to be able to do at the moment with all of its defenders. You can see the massive improvement they made in refining their artwork, obviously drawing massive inspiration from anime, as I mentioned before. Now, the people that send in the stories, as well as the artists, also take inspiration from anime in their storytelling. Because the crap that happens in these stories is a only in anime moment. A lot of the stories I have seen from them are getting stuck with your crush in very awkward situations. See, what did I say? Some other examples of stories that they can't seem to stop telling are stuff about gold diggers, getting revenge on your crushes, and also stuff suggesting to incest. See, what did I say? Their most popular series lied in the first episode in the title and thumbnail about there being incest in the first episode. Although it almost appears to happen in one of the latest episodes. About that, Milton is a 3-season mini-series, is it even mini if it has 3 seasons, that is still running at the moment of writing this. It tells the tale of a young man named Milton, who has a family that treats him badly, and he spends time with girls who are absolutely delusional, meaning they are all nutters. Guess what, guys? Milton is the smartest guy ever, so that is why he keeps making dumb decisions like Takashi over here. By the time of writing this, ETU had 3 series. Now, they have 4. Or 5, and you'll know why in a bit. One being about an FBI mission, another being about a guy who has to join the Yakuza to survive, which surprisingly has a crossover event with Milton, and Zaxol, or Zack Slice of Life for long, which I will get into now. This is a story about a maths teacher named Zack. He shares an apartment with a very attractive Hispanic woman named Adriana. Guess what? Zack is so relatable because he went into quarantine with his bae. See, awkward situation with his crush. The thing that keeps happening in the stories is misunderstandings. It could be a kiss that went horribly wrong, or a relationship that went horribly wrong, or an interaction with a parent that went horribly wrong. You see, Zack over here had mistaken Adriana's mom for his dearly beloved, and it caused a huge bad in the household. We know very well that explaining anything in anime is impossible when there is a misunderstanding. As a last-ditch effort to please her parents, Adriana said that she was pregnant. Pregnancy seems to be a real trend with these things, told you. Because her mom wanted grandchildren so badly, thus making it so that Zack and Adriana could stay in the house, but with the consequence of them being forced to marry. I guess you could say Adriana pulled a Latina. Get it? Get it? Get it? Zingo! I'm here every night, and Thursdays, weeaboos, you are welcome. These stories are beloved because of how they are able to come up with plot twists in every single episode. It's like watching a telenovela that frustrates me every time someone speaks. I actually got one of my friends to watch Zaxol because of that. He seemed to enjoy it. I told him it's stupid, but, you know, there's still some entertainment from it. Not sure if he's gonna continue watching. Let me know in the comments, old white boy brother. Share My Story is one of the most popular of these channels, having 2.21 million subscribers. These are the ones who made the
Show me how a real man treats a woman.
Yeah, that one. These guys. I would like to call these guys the OGs, because they kinda for me, pioneered telling stories of absolute susness. I think the ones that are most worth acknowledging are the stepmom one, the one about the girl who seduced her math teacher to get a better grade, ended up getting pregnant, then sought revenge out on this man's family because he refused to spend the rest of his mortal life with her. How can we forget the one where the boy is dating his babysitter, who is clearly too old for him despite them both being in high school? This is a Dipper and Wendy kind of situation, but instead of a 16-year-old girl telling a 12 to 13-year-old boy to frick off, but they can still be friends, we have a 17-year-old girl seducing a 14-year-old boy into doing her homework with the reward of using her body in any way that he pleases. Yeah. Every time these guys put something out, it gets views. I know I said the ones where people have serious body conditions don't get views, but that is a lie with this channel. But I will justify my argument by saying this. Even though they may be popular, no one cares about those ones because those kinds of videos are not what these channels are known for. I also think these guys tended to go with the trope of someone being an absolute waste man, but the audience had to still sympathize with them because they played the victim card. For example, I was suspended for cosplaying. Now, you may think that you received absolute injustice. Like, why would you suspend someone for cosplaying? Cosplaying, man. What could they have possibly done? Wear the skimpiest pirate outfit she could possibly find. Last thing I want to mention about Share My Story is how they tend to re-upload content at the end of stories that don't seem to hit the 10-minute mark. When you re-upload content, it usually might be for a compilation or something. From what I described just now, they just do it to get extra cash with the label of bonus content at the end. How could I not put true stories in this? They're absolutely goated. First off, they made the legendary stories My Mom Likes My Cream, and I Paid My Sister to Do Stuff. Okay, I put them in here because their stories are absolutely disturbing. They have a great catalog for that, trust me. True stories also tend to have many innuendos, mostly of the birds and bees variety, with this gem.
I bent down and grabbed her. Handbag off the bedside table.
And this one, which will segue into my next point.
And there was Grandma, bent over, taking photos of her dirty, bare feet.
For those of you who don't know him, this is their characterization of Oompaville in one of their stories. They did it because he asked them to. The point I am getting to is that True Stories has and probably will make more videos about YouTubers, and guess what? They straight up aren't serious about it at all when they do it. They're absolute clowns, I tell you. The video they made about diesel patches clearly states that they are a content farm based in Alabama. That really explains a lot. Make sure not to make fun of them too much, or in Oompa's case, ask them to make a video for you. That's just formally requesting for them to turn your life into... Wait, should I really be saying the name of that thing that I was going to mention? Nah, let's just go with a much more safer one. That's just formally requesting for them to turn your life into the version of Eromanga Sensei that fits you, with all the degeneracy intact. What I have told you about today are content farms. They're very strange and they seem to know how to capitalize on that since they are getting as much attention as they are today. I don't know how much labor these guys put their animators through, but geez, if you guys are able to make this kind of content all the time, then there's some true dedication right there. Now that that's over with, thanks for watching. Really enjoyed making this, especially since I have the new look now. I literally waited until my avatar was done to even make this video. Follow Crayui, they deserve it. I apologize for only being able to express two emotions, but unfortunately, I am a coward and I was too afraid to spend more money. Also, as a notice out there, because it's absolutely necessary, do not harass the channels or the individuals I have talked about today. It was a pleasure going through their tropes, their appeals, and some of the ones that stand out. I've been Yonizer, signing out. Hambagashle, have a good week.
Yeah, going 8 like nigga, move